So African, gave it its being, has lived and practically died by now. Bishop of Hippo. He has written far more than the world knows. People know about this City of God and his confessions. But there was so much of his writing that has not come down to us that is available in texts and in documents. But he has lived and practically died by this point. At this point, my main point is that the African contribution to the church has been made, and Augustine looks back at what these Europeans have done to Christianity. He said it makes him laugh, especially the conference at Nicaea. These people don't understand Christianity. Now, the fight between Byzantium and Rome over the dominance of the church has literally wrecked the church. And this mismanagement and disenchantment now would cause a camel boy. Now, because you can't read, that doesn't mean you have no wisdom. Most of the people of that period couldn't read. That don't mean they're stupid. To begin to talk to other camel boys. And finally, he began to rise up in his profession, and his uncle began to give him a little leadway. He was working for his uncle, in the trades, the caravan trades between the masters, and and he finally marries a rich widow. This rich widow secures for him 2 Ethiopian tutors that the Encyclopedia Islam mistakenly called slaves. They're not slaves. And Zayd bin Harith and Bilal. Bilal is the prophet's first convert, and Zayd bin Harith is listed as the third. I'm at a loss to find out who was the second of the African converts. All right. Oh, now this is the condition. The corruption of Christianity has reached a point for failing to find reform, to get reform. He began to send letters to the different heads of state asking them to accept the new faith. And some of them laugh at it. Some of them tear up the letter. The Emperor of China takes it seriously. He didn't say, oh, so what's the big deal? He erects a mosque. Says, all right. One more religion don't mean nothing to him. So, he erects a beautiful new mosque in China. And says, all right. I mean, it didn't seem to bother him. He'll accept it. He'll give it a chance. Anybody want to join it? Here's a mosque. Yeah. You make no fuss about it. A few accepted, a few didn't. And then he tell me either go to accept the faith, or go to pick up your sword, because I'm gonna fight you. Now, Bilal accompanies the prophet on his various missions, and he is looking for someone to call the faithful to prayer. Bilal becomes the first of the Muslim to call the faithful to prayer. And he has looked, and he did among the people of Arabia. He don't want to use bells or, Then he comes home one evening. Bilal is his steward and his mace carrier and general all-around man. And he tells Bilal his problems. Then he asks Bilal to see if he can say the call to prayer. And he said, why have I been looking all over Arabia when you have the sweetest voice in all the land? Now Bilal becomes the one to call the faithful to prayer. And he makes out of it a great art form. And even today, if you go to Senegal and listen when the faithful are being called to prayer, the Africans do it, and it is a concert. It is a concert piece. Then go to an Arab country and listen, almost like a bad bird singing off tone. They can't bring it off to this day. They can't bring off that song. The beauty of that song. There's no God but Allah, Allah is, you know. It's repetitious, but it's the African who can take that repetition and infuse a spiritual beauty into it that you will not find in any other country, any other place in the world. Of course, in Libya, they just record an African voice and play it on record from the they get it that way. But Libya seemed to have been the only predominantly Arab country where the 5 prayers are called on time, and where you do see a degree of people moving toward the mosque to say the 5 prayers. In most Arab countries, the traffic keeps on and nobody pays slight attention to it. But in Senegal, a predominantly African country, when it comes time to say one of the 5 prayers, the traffic stops. And you could be going to have a baby, but the traffic stops. And my point is that whether I believe in it or not, it's just so beautiful to see so many black people doing something in unison. Right or wrong is of no significance. No significance. Just see them doing something together. It's a thing of joy. You notice one thing generally, the men and the women are closer together in African countries than in Arab countries. And inasmuch as the prophet's first public act at a time when, because they are a desert people, when a woman had 2 girls, if the 3rd child was a girl, they either got rid of her or put her to death. Women protested this. He defended their right to keep the children. Now, inasmuch as the prophet defended their right to keep their children, one wonders why and how over the years systematically Islam became predominantly a male chauvinistic religion. Here you have to separate Islam from Arabism. Maybe it was something about the desert, and maybe it was the belief that a woman needed protection, but very few women rose to high position in the Arab side of the religion. And I can name one woman head of state in the black side of it who not only headed a state but rode in the head of her army and commanded her armies in the field. 1500s, that's Elmina of Nigeria in the state of Zara. I recently recommended that she be included among Budweiser's great queens of Africa. And I purposely supervised the writing of the copy in order to eliminate a whole lot of the misconceptions about her.